Terry, thank you very much for speaking to us today. It was defeat last time out in the Essex Senior Cup. Would it be fair to say that it was a poor performance and a poor result from the boys?
Yes, totally fair. Yeah, I mean, when you look at the quality that we had out, the quality of players that we had out, the strength of the side we had out, you would, and this is with due respect to Hamish Swifts, you would expect obviously the boys to come through that game. And thought first half was okay, second half nowhere near it. And you know, to be fair, we actually sold them so as well at the end, because you know, you expect to win those games again with the quality of players that we had out. So disappointing.
We had plenty of opportunities in the game. Shamir Mullins had a couple of chances, Noel Leighton as well. Is it the same old case of a lack of clinical finishing in the end?
Yeah, I mean, I thought we had opportunities throughout the game. You know, we knew that if it was a draw at the end of full time, it was going to go straight to penalties. And the penalties were dreadful, absolutely dreadful. You know, to miss, was it 4 out of 5? Appalling, absolutely appalling.
A couple of positives to take from it though: Elliot Bonds and Liam Bellamy getting some valuable minutes, and the rest of the squad as well. A couple of the fringe players getting some good minutes in there.
Yeah, in a game of very little positives, some good did come out of it. And you know, Elliot obviously that's the first time he's played for a period, and obviously Liam Bellamy as well. So you know, I'm digging deep really to try and think of anything else. But there wasn't many positives to come from the game. But you know, we move on from there now.
And looking back overall on the season so far, would it be fair to say that clinical finishing has been the main problem for us this season?
I'm not so sure really. Yeah, finishing. Yeah, I can see that. From my viewpoint, I look at goals conceded. You know, we haven't really defended our box on numerous occasions. We haven't defended that well. Certainly on restarts, on corners. Free kicks, and you know, I've said to the players from day one that if you go throughout the season without conceding from restarts, and I include corners, free kicks, or a first phase after a free kick, you'll win the league. You know, don't concede from restarts, and we have, and that to me has been more disappointing. Than actually, you know, the clinical finishing as such, because you know, if you don't concede, you're always in with a chance. You know, we've conceded goals and then we've been chasing games.
Another thing as well, individual errors at the start of the season were costing us in matches, and that's sort of been ironed out of late, especially in the games against Harrogate and Dover. Yeah,
we do a lot of back four work. We do a lot of back four work, and that's not only the defensive side. We're talking about from the forwards working defensively as well. So hopefully, you know, we're getting these silly mistakes out of our game, and when it has been right, we've actually achieved the right results because of it. Saturday at Sutton, when we didn't really look like we were going to concede, we finally did through a mistake by Elliot, which he's the first to admit. But our back line were not prepared for Elliot to make a mistake. They thought he was just going to parry it or catch it. You know, that they didn't think the worst case scenario. So that was certainly disappointing Saturday, certainly from the goal that we conceded.
And we've seen a number of new arrivals in recent weeks, most notably Angelo Blanta, who you've worked with last season at Broadwood.
Very.
What have you made of his first 3 matches for the club?
I think he's been very good. I mean, people that don't know Angelo, he is top drawer. I think he's one of the best players in the National League by a country mile. He's very, very clever. A good finisher. Now, whether he plays as one of a front two or whether he plays in the 10 role behind the front two, either way, he can play. And he was instrumental last year in getting to Bournemouth to where they actually got at the end of the season. And I think he's come in, it's new for him. He's coming to a side that wasn't really pulling up any trees. and I think he settled in very well. And players can see even in training, what a good player he is.
And someone who has linked up quite well with Angelo so far is Tommy Adeloye. And he had a little bit of a spell out on the sidelines, a tough time to start with his career at the club, but now he's sort of come back into the first team. He looks a lot more confident.
Yes, he has, and that's what it's about. It's all about confidence anyway. You know, I mean, at the start of the season when we had a lot of the youngsters, you know, young players are going to make mistakes. You know, I understand that. You just try to lessen the amount of mistakes that they actually make, and if you can do that, then you're in with a chance. And he had a bit of a tough time at the start, really. But it's the old adage: when you've got better players and players around you, then you play better yourself. And he's done well. He's done well of late.
Harry Phipps is another one that was sort of in at the start of the season, went out for a period, and he's now back in the fold. Was that down to hard work on the training ground that you and the gaffer saw something?
No, I think sometimes if you're out of the side, you actually sit and watch, or you're on the bench in the subs, and you watch games. And at the end of the day, you get to realise we got to realise what he can produce for the team. He's a good lad. He works his socks off. He cares. He's got a good presence. He can defend our defensive box, and also by getting goals in the attacking third as well, because he's a strong lad in the air as well. But again, he's a young lad who will make mistakes, and if you've got better players around you, then that will bring his game to the fore as well. And I think that's what's happened with him.
In the past 3 National League matches, we've seen sort of a consistent starting 11 match day squad, if you like, whereas in previous games this year there's been a lot of chopping and changing with individuals coming in and out. Is that just players now deservedly claiming their spot in the first team?
To a certain extent. But I said, because we've got more experienced players coming into the fold now, we can get a more settled side. At the start, we had a lot of youngsters, and youngsters sometimes make mistakes. So sometimes you have to pull them out of the firing line and put someone else in. And we did it at the start, chop and change, because, for what we had, we probably weren't too sure what the strongest side was out of the younger players that we had. So, but now that we've got the Angelos come in anyway, and we've got Manny who has come into the fold, although he's a young player in age, experience-wise, he's been out of Rotherham and other clubs, and Brentford as well. So he hasn't come through the young under-23 sides. He's been involved in first-team football. So when you've got experienced players, or more experienced players around you, then the youngsters really become better players for it as well.
And it was defeat against Sutton last time out in the National League. Would it be fair to say that we were unfortunate not to pick up a point?
I thought so. I thought so. Everybody sees the game differently. But I said at the end of the game, we've gone to a side who are in the top 7, who have a distinctive way of playing. For the last number of seasons, they've always been there or thereabouts. We went there, we played 4-4-2, which was a different shape to what they played, and they changed their shape in the first half. We actually made them change their shape, their way of playing, and I spoke to Paul Cottrell after the game and said, we were not right. We weren't picking players up. You were the better side. Second half, I thought they came into it a little bit more, Sutton. They said they changed the shape to match us up to a 4-4-2. They got the goal, which I said was a mistake on our part. And I thought for the last 20 minutes, we were in the ascendancy. I said at the end of the game to Elliot Justin, apart from 1 or 2 shots, what did you have to do? You weren't exactly flying across the goal, coming out one-on-ones and everything. You had nothing to do. So that's against a side that are top seven. So if we can go away from home and do that, then hopefully we can now kick on.
And finally, on a personal note for yourself, coming back to the club where you spent so much of your career as a coach, what's it been like for you the past 4 months coming back into Dagenham?
Well, it's fantastic. Obviously, it's fantastic. I mean, Dagenham is my club, you know. I mean, but as I said before, I went out to Boreham Wood, and because I have to pay my mortgage, so I've got to work. But coming back, yeah, absolutely fantastic. It was tough when we first came back because of the lack of players that we had. We had to go and get young, hungry players. But certainly since Peter and Craig have come in, it's give everybody a lift, I have to say. Give everybody a lift. And hopefully now we can kick on.